Hello and welcome back to another out of spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing in Northern Colorado. This in front of me is the new 2024 Tesla Model 3 Performance, codenamed Highland. And this is owned by my friend Brandon from Tesla Flex. He makes awesome content over on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, everything. And he just purchased this literally yesterday. And today we're going to be going through a full build quality analysis with the new Highland Model 3 Performance. So welcome back and let's jump into it. So we're going to be doing a full build quality inspection with the new Highland Model 3 Performance. Now, before we do that and get into exterior fit and finish, jump inside, see what's changed, see how everything feels, Brandon, run us through quickly the specs on your new Model 3 Performance here.
So this is the Model 3 Performance in stealth gray with white interior, the 20-inch warp wheels, and it has 296 miles of range according to the EPA and their new testing cycle. And the only thing about this, the Performance, is that you can only get Performance in a stealth gray. Some of the early orders could get like different colors.
And that's for the $7,500
yes,
federal
to qualify
tax
for the
credit.
tax credit, the only way you can get that is with stealth gray now with either white or black interior.
So interesting points there. So essentially, if you do qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit, make sure you do your research on this and make sure you're not purchasing a car that you don't qualify for that. There's a price cap on $55,000 for this specific vehicle. You have to make sure you don't make too much money to be able to take advantage of that. But Brandon, I think the interesting thing that's going on with Tesla right now is you can basically only get stealth gray to qualify. And then what's really interesting is you can either option white or black interior at a no cost option for either. Whereas the Model 3 long range, Model 3 rear wheel drive, the white interior is actually a $2,000 option. So I think honestly, you're gonna see so many Model 3s in stealth gray rolling out right now. It is of course the free color, but it's a little bit of a shame you can't even get a white one. You can't get a black one, blue, or red to qualify for the tax credit. Now, on paper, guys, this car is about the most bang for your buck you can get. 296 miles of EPA rated range, 2.90 to 60, 510 horsepower, and a much refined interior versus the outgoing Model 3 Performance. This thing, genuinely, I just had my first ride in it and I was quite blown away. Now, Brandon, if you pan over there, that is my 2023 Model 3 Performance that I bought in October of 2023. It's been a great car, absolutely love it. And a lot of you are probably saying, why the heck did Coleton buy that car just a few months ago? There was a lot of incentives at the time. I essentially got two $7,500 tax credits. My MSRP on that car was $48,000, which is pretty awesome because then I got $7,500 federal tax credit and then I got $5,000 state tax credit from here in Colorado. So would I wish I could get one of these? Absolutely, but Brandon's here with his brand new one. So in these build quality analysis videos, we like to go through the specs firsthand. This is undoubtedly bang for the buck of performance, range, comfort. This is kind of like a Swiss Army knife now. But how does it actually feel as far as build quality? Now, we've had actually the other two models on this channel here. Brandon and Kyle did an early refresh Model 3 rear wheel drive over, where were you, Brandon, in Europe when you did that?
Yeah, that was in Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam, yes. You guys shot it super late. Video did absolutely great. Shared some amazing points with it. I recently had the Model 3 long range on this channel as well, but now it's time for the Performance. So Brandon, first off, just exterior wise, there's a few things changed from the Performance, so run me through those.
Performance versus long range?
Yep.
So yeah, now there's actually some physical differences with the Performance. Starting with the front bumper, on the our Legacy Model 3, you can see this is the same bumper that is on standard range and long range. On this one, this is a completely different bumper. It actually has, I don't know what these are called.
So these are the
slits.
air curtains here, and
Yeah.
they actually channel air around the wheel. This helps with efficiency a little bit. And you can also see a nice new splitter under here. First off, build quality wise, I am thrilled that Tesla did a very high quality satin black trim down there. It's not that cheap textured black plastic that a lot of manufacturers use, like Rivian and obviously Tesla has in the past. This feels very Porsche-esque, I would say, and you'll see that move to the rear diffuser, which I absolutely love. It just makes the car feel a lot more premium. This is genuinely like feels straight out of Porsche GT3 territory, doing stuff like that. Of course, we have the new 20-inch warp wheels here. So this runs a staggered wheel up front with a lot of aero covers, and we've been seeing folks take these off quite a bit. So 235/35 up front with a 275/30/20 in the rear. So interesting that they're going a wider wheel in the back. For my driving preferences, I'd prefer a square setup. So maybe we can get some rear wheels and throw them on the front of yours, Brandon, for a track day coming up. Coming to the back though, we have a new carbon spoiler. What do you think about this, Brandon? I gotta say, it looks pretty sharp.
I like it. I like how it kind of dips down right here.
And from what it sounds like, that's an efficiency play on here. I really think the new Model 3s, all Model 3s look good with a slight spoiler on it. And then you get to the lower bits down here. This new rear diffuser looks absolutely incredible. You definitely are starting to get this baby Model S vibe from this car, as a lot of folks say. And then of course, lastly, we have the new performance badge back here. What are your thoughts on that, Brandon? Do you like it? Are you okay with it? What do you think?
I think it's the first badge I'll keep on the car.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I would immediately take that off, but that's just my personal preference. So now that we've seen what's different on the performance, let's quickly walk around and just look at general build quality. I'm going to try and shorten this video up, not go crazy on it, get out all the gauges. Honestly, I've walked around this car and I don't see a whole heck of a lot. Starting off here on the hood, you can see everything is just perfectly aligned, very flush in here. All of these gaps, I mean, look absolutely flawless. The headlights here fit extremely nice. It just seems like Tesla really has grown up over the last couple of years. And I'm glad to see that because, you know, my Model 3 Performance, when I got it, I had every single door kind of fixed because one was sticking out. Some of them were sunk in. There was some weird stuff going on with the car. I actually had a bad headlight when I purchased my car. The projector just basically broke and had to get it replaced within the first week. So there's been some annoyances with that. I'm sure we'll see annoyances as more and more of the Highland Model 3 Performance get out. But an example of one here, I gotta say, I'm pretty darn impressed with it so far. Again, the front splitter, I think it just ties the front end so nicely here. It just fits the personality more of a performance model. And I'm very much glad to see that Tesla is now starting to actually show that you're getting the performance. It's always been an annoyance. You see a Model 3 coming at you, a Model Y, Model S, and X, and you're like, wait, is that the cheapest version one? Or is that the one that they spent the money and that's the real go fast one? So I'm glad to see they're doing something there. But you just start looking at all the tolerances around here. Bumper to fender alignment, like that is almost Porsche level, just tightness on there. And I absolutely love to see that. Moving down to the side here, we of course have the new hardware 4 cameras. The easiest way to see that, you have this kind of light red glow inside of the actual lens
and this
here.
little light strip, so it's more separated on hardware 4 cameras.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brandon, I'm going to walk around this car and not really say all that much. I mean, we saw a few little paint chips and imperfections there. I know one of the things you did see upon delivery was right here, and they actually pointed this out to you, which I'm very glad to see that
They gave me a service credit.
Yeah, that's very
Really nice
cool.
of them.
So we've seen a few little rock chips on here. The doors sound amazing when you immediately close them. This also feels very similar, I would say. Brandon's got to get a little closer. There we go. To the old Model 3 when you get in, but then you just feel this refinement, a very nice door thud when you actually close the door. Love to see that. Doors fit fantastic here. No issues or complaints from me. Nothing sticking out here, at least on the driver's side. We'll see once we get over to the other side. This rear door, this is all great tolerances in here. If I would be a little bit nitpicky, I'd say that door is not exactly where this quarter panel is going, but just looking at it from back here, it looks completely fine. One thing I did notice on this is this triangular trim. Brandon, can you notice this, that it looks a little bit shinier than, say, this trim?
You know, I am noticing that now, like right here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like this on both sides. So that may be a different supplier. Something may have got painted a little weird, but this definitely looks a lot shinier than...
I mean, this looks actually pretty shiny too.
Yeah, it just has this, I don't know, it almost looks like
over
it...
here, like you can really tell it looks a lot more matte on that model.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say this just may be some polishing residue or something that's on there, but I noticed these rear kind of triangles were on both sides, so that's a little strange. Now, one thing Brandon and I noticed earlier, and you can actually see a ever so slight paint chip right here, is that the actual charge port door, hopefully the camera can focus, the actual charge port door was kind of warped a little bit. And I showed Brandon, you can actually just grab this thing and give it a quick little twist, and now it sits a lot better. The long range that I did a build quality analysis on had the same thing, where it was kind of getting hung up here and it was sticking out a little bit. So keep an eye on that. But honestly, panel gaps in this particular area, looking fantastic. Tesla very much has struggled in the past with getting this area aligned, especially side to side, but I'm glad to see it's looking better. Now, Brandon, one thing I do want to make a point of before we open that up, the spoiler. This side fits amazingly well. And I also remember, was it Lars who said, you're not going to have your spoilers fall off anymore? Mm-hmm. But that side is already coming up ever so slightly right here. So that's a little bit of a concern. And I can also see if I stand kind of back in this particular area, maybe I'll swap you sides there. See how tight this is? And then even here on the center, you can see this is, and I can even feel it. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's fully sitting on there. So that's a little bit of a shame. I know you're getting PPF on this, so this is going to come off anyways. And then it's going to go back on probably with some better double stick tape that they put on here. But yeah, that's one of those things you would expect. I mean, how many years has a Model 3 been out now?
It's been just about 7.
7 years. They've had spoilers on the Performance in the past. They all come up on the corners. Like, that's one of those things. You got to get this stuff fixed. But that's a minor complaint. It's just something that a lot of people notice on their cars, and it's pretty sad to see this on a brand new car. Now back here, of course, a lot has changed. We have the whole new rear bumper, rear diffuser, rear hatch, rear taillights. It all looks new. This is my favorite part of the new car. The new rear end looks absolutely stunning. Now what has changed quite a bit is you can see the taillights now actually go up with the trunk lid. This is same on rear wheel drive, same with long range. And then, what do you call these lights? Your safety lights down here, I guess?
I forget what they're called, but there's a name for them.
So essentially, if you're broken down on the side of the road, Tesla was required to put these lights in here so that there's
hazards there.
Exactly.
Right next to it.
Yeah, that's cool to see. I don't know how I feel about this. It definitely looks a little strange the first time you see this open.
Very empty.
Very empty. But the new rear hatch to me is incredible. Now, I'm also noticing here, we now have 2 powered struts on each side.
Yep.
I did not notice that.
Yeah.
And funny enough, why I want to make a point of this, my dad's 2023 Model 3 Performance, this strut just went out on the driver's side. He had Tesla come out and replace it because what was happening is his trunk would open and it would just immediately fall, and it smacked him in the head the first time. And then they replaced this strut, and now it's sitting all wonky and everything. So it's been a mess, but these look a lot more slender and it seems a lot more smooth and even opening. So let's see how it does when it closes here.
You know, it's just like the Model Y. I mean, they've had the Model Y, both struts forever, but it's very smooth.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to see there. Feels very smooth, very refined throughout there. Again, Brandon, this is just awesome. I'm glad to see, like, side to side, all the panel gaps look absolutely perfect there. You don't have these sticking up like they have done in the past. Pretty darn impressed with that. Now, we can omit this scratch here from the delivery if you guys are actually seeing that. It's maybe a little hard to pick up on camera. What this was from is Brandon's getting full satin PPF on this. We have drive protected Eric coming down from Canada tomorrow, and he's going to be doing the full satin wrap on here. Brandon wanted to ensure getting no rock chips on this thing. So if you've seen some crazy photos of it, maybe we'll include it in this video. Brandon basically put track wrap or whatever it was on the whole front end of the car, all down the sides in the high impact areas to avoid rock chips so that he can get PPF on there. But that's what that is there. Even the bumper though, Brandon, like this all looks absolutely perfect.
I love how the taillight actually like looks well aligned because it's only part of the trunk. It's not like split in half anymore.
Yeah, that's a great point. And both of my cars, so this is my white Model 3 long range as well. The taillights have never been exactly perfect in it. And yeah, it kind of drives me nuts, especially being as particular as I am. But again, I want you to look at this section. Same thing going on here. It is noticeably shinier from here to here, and especially when you look, like this is still a little shiny, but then down here is the more traditional matte or satin finish that Tesla has. So not sure what's going on with those triangles.
It's gotta be polishing.
Yeah, that's what I would think, but I don't know. Like I don't see any signs of anybody polishing on this. Normally you'd see some like compound or polish in the cracks because they don't really clean it up. I did notice an area over here that I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, that's a little weird, and I wonder if that can be fixed. I would hope so, because you kind of want that to look all even. Down this side, the only complaint I would have, and this is being uber nitpicky, this door sticks out ever so slightly. So this could be a door adjustment. Now, typically with new vehicles, you have seals in all the doors, and they kind of need to break in a little bit. So you can see all your seals here. You have them around the windows. You have it all down the side. Sometimes it takes a little bit for those to break in. So that may actually kind of suck itself in naturally over time. But honestly, Brandon, not much to complain about on the exterior. Like very solid build for 55 grand. I think like we're now in the territory where Tesla is making a very nice vehicle that a lot of people coming from BMW and other higher end brands can actually get into one of these and go, wow, it actually feels like a very nicely built car. I do just want to quickly show you this area here, Brandon. So we have quite a bit of dust nibs in this. And then you can see this polish right in here. That's a little bit strange. Sorry, the camera's having such a hard time focusing. It's just a little on the reflective side. And then the only other paint issue is right here. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. It almost seems like a paint drip to me. I haven't noticed that on the long ranges and rear wheel drives. It just could be Fremont getting their paint booth dialed in again with the stealth gray. I don't know, a little bit of a shame there. What do you think about that, Brandon?
I mean, we didn't notice it till we were taking the track wrap off, so
yeah.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
You can probably wet sand that and make it look absolutely perfect. But again, it's just, that's one of those things I'd like to see a little bit better. But honestly, everything else, very impressive, especially considering I just purchased the Model 3 Performance and had a lot of issues with it. So I think next, let's jump inside, because that's where this thing has been fully transformed, especially with the new sport seats. Brandon's gonna take over here and I'll make some points as well, but the new Model 3 interior, holy smokes, a lot's changed in here. So first off, as the viewers can obviously notice, we now have ambient lighting in here. This is the same thing you get on the Model 3 long range and rear wheel drive. The biggest change in here, Brandon, is what? There's a few things going on. So obviously these are the new sport seats, and what else is different?
They're very comfortable for one.
Yes.
And they're also cooled and heated just like they were, but the cooled is a really nice feature. I have it on all the time now.
Yep.
And of course we have the stockless design, but everyone's kind of 50-50 on that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
I'd say, I mean, for me, of course, you guys know if you watch this channel, I'm a one-handed driver. I don't mind it on Cybertruck, but something's changed from Cybertruck steering wheel technology on the buttons to Model 3, because you were even talking about this at dinner last night, that you almost have to like almost double press it.
Yeah, it's like the Cybertruck is a jump over the Model 3 buttons, because these are the same buttons that were in the refresh in Europe. So like the Cybertruck just has a completely different design, but I probably could replicate it right now. So if I have that on, if you do it enough and then you try to switch, it like almost gets stuck if you're, yeah, there we go. So I'm trying to press down on this, but it doesn't actually, it like gets stuck. And then the camera, you have to press it like specifically on the button. You can't press higher. It has to be right on it. But the Cybertruck, you can kind of like press a little bit off and it still recognizes it.
So steering wheel has changed a bit. I would say that's my first gripe about the new vehicle. It's not only that I don't love the shape of it, it's what they've done with of course, the stockless design. That's a little bit of an annoyance for me. But the stitching. So, Brandon, the stitching used to be where? Kind of more at the fingertips, where your fingertips are sitting.
Yeah.
And now it's actually, I can't even get a good view of it, but it's actually on the back.
Yeah.
That, for me, I just sit there and want to pick at it the whole time.
I keep feeling it. It's like, I mean, it doesn't feel bad. It just, you feel it.
Yeah,
you
like feel it more.
Faster.
You definitely feel it more because, you know, traditionally it's going to be right there on the inside where your fingers don't really touch unless you're kind of wrapping your hand all the way around. So that's a little strange. The steering wheel definitely, to me, it feels more square and not in like the actual wheel. It's the square on the side bolsters, I guess you would. So that's my only gripe with it. But honestly, like the new interior has grown up so much.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, with the performance trim, this is one of the main differences here other than the seats. You get now a carbon fiber. This is a dry carbon. Nice that it matches the rear spoiler too. I'm glad to see that.
I really like that. I really just wish they had a carbon fiber like dash piece because like Model S has that, but you know, it's like what, 3 pieces they could have put in?
Totally agree. Yeah, that would really kind of upclass the interior because this is the same exact one you get in the rear wheel drive as well. What else can we say about the interior other than just like, holy smokes, everything's been improved? I mean, there is no plastic in here, Brandon.
Yeah,
There's nothing.
The doors aren't plastic anymore. In the Legacy Model 3, they didn't have the carpet in the doors. Model Y's had that for a little while.
So this carpet in the doors is what he's talking about, basically where you throw cups. The biggest improvement for me is this entire lower area. I mean, this is something that I complain about on $100,000 BMWs where the top is nice. They use really luxurious leathers. And then this is all just, can I say, crap plastic in all honesty? And this is all soft touch now. One interesting thing, and this isn't a performance version of it, it's all the new refresh Model 3s, is utilizing carpet here. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because the old one scuffs up a bit, but I have a feeling you're going to have to vacuum this a lot more, and it's going to get worn down over time.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than plastic. I would say it's better than having plastic. The carpet will need to get cleaned more, but I mean, even my Model Y, there's so many scratches on the plastic area.
Yeah, it's just every time you get in and out, this is kind of like a high bolster there, of course, and everybody scrapes their foot over that. Yeah. So that's a little annoying. One thing I absolutely love in the new Model 3s is where the phones sit now. It very much feels like a part straight out of the Model S.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much is the same exact charging pad.
Yeah.
Because it charges iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the Model 3 and Y currently don't, or the Legacy Model 3 just don't.
They don't chargers at all?
No. I mean, I have to like take the case off and then it does it, but it's still like 50-50. This, every single time it goes on. And that's how I noticed with the Model S and Model X and the Cybertruck. They've all worked fine.
Yeah, I don't have issues in mine, so I wonder if, that's interesting. Maybe it's a case situation there.
Yeah, it's probably case.
All I've known from these we call them phone heaters out of spec because they literally just blast your phone with heat. So the new center console, again, I think Brandon and I both wish this was all carbon fiber in here, but I like that you can actually, you know, close up the cup holders
or just close this.
One thing I did notice, Brandon, is that they've decrease the number of Type-C ports in the front. So there's only one.
Yeah, so there used to be 2 in this area. Now
and then there was 1 back here as well, right?
There was never one. So basically, so there was just 2 up here, and then a 12 volt was back here, but now the 12 volts up here, and they have one 65 watt USB-C right here. And also, geez, that was hot. This rear display.
Really?
Yeah, it gets kind of warm.
Okay.
Like I just touched my elbow and you can actually like feel heat.
Is that area plastic there? Is that kind of that soft touch?
It's soft touch.
Okay, so maybe wow, just the screen just
sitting
there.
Yeah, literally just the screen, and my elbow just barely touches it. So.
And it's not even that hot right now, so that'll be something to keep an eye on.
And it's like always on. I wish there was a way. I feel like there's some update that I'm missing that turns the screen off when you're not like when there's people not in the back.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably like 20.1 or something.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
If they can fix that, then that's great because like there's no one back here, so why is the screen on?
Sure. So one thing I do want you to do, because this was one of my other weird annoyances, open up the glove box for me. So this glove box has gotten one smaller. It's now all soft padded, but it's held in by magnets. And the only negative with this, and I know this is a stupid gripe, it is so loud. Annoying. It's so oddly loud. And when you're
like felt or something.
Yeah, you would think so, but like the magnets just seem oddly strong on there, and it's very weird too. It's not like you can come in here and pry this out. It's just they're super strong and they make a very loud noise. This excuse me, the center console is also magnetic now. So yeah, I would say they need that dampening over here. That's really enough of the complaints though. I mean, honestly, the interior, every single panel you touch on here, like even this is all soft touch over here, which is one of those areas that you would never expect Tesla to do this kind of like more leather wrapped material. The whole dash is like this as well. Just this car has gone from an econo box, and I'm one of those who actually loves the previous generation Model 3 interior, but then this just kind of turned it up, you know, to 10 or even 11. The new sound system's unreal. Is this 19 speakers in here?
17, I think.
Okay.
17, but 2 subwoofers and 2 amps.
Yeah, you had your sub when we got in here earlier. He turned his sub way down because this thing just almost kind of like overdoes the bass and everything, but man, I'm blown away with the interior. These seats, Branden, are absolutely amazing.
Amazing.
Now, I think a lot of people initially looking at these may get concerned. Like, you know, even my dad is like, those seats look very heavily bolstered. The greatest thing about this is that the bolsters are highly deformable. They're not like getting in that's one of these cars' real competition, an M3 full bucket seat. Like, I'm very wide, as you know, like definitely overweight, eat way too much in and out. I still fit in these. I definitely sit a little on the bolsters here. Branden said even this side is a little...
leg right here, just, you know, it doesn't feel uncomfortable. Honestly, I guess it feels more supported than before.
Sure.
I guess I was used to no support.
Yeah, you're used to just sliding around your seat.
But I am noticing a little bit of creasing already.
I think that's going to be an issue and a point that I really wanted to bring up.
Actually, it's gotten worse. So it's right here and right here. And I'm sure... I don't know what it would take to even.
And I can already see there on the driver's side, huge crease right there by above your hand. If you go towards like the pedal area, yep, big crease there. I can really pick it up. So that's a little concerning. You know, Branden is a very slim fella here, and him getting in. Yeah, you're just going to crush those bolsters over time.
I'm literally crushing it every single time I get in.
So that's a concern because I do have a feeling these are going to look absolutely terrible, even worse than the last generation Model 3 seats. Okay, there's not really much you can do about that unless you literally pick your butt up and get over it.
I can't even do that. So I have to like, just to get out, I have to.
Yeah.
And then to get
Yeah, that's just awkward. Nobody's going to do that to save their bolsters. Maybe Kyle will, but like, holy smokes. What else can we say about the new Model 3 interior?
Headliner. So
okay.
Headliner, it's soft touch now. It's so hard to show on video. Like, the only way you can really tell is if you go in like a showroom or something, or you just have
big old fly in here.
You get a Model Y, you touch the headliner, it's just like basically glued on to the headliner. There's just like slight soft touch on all of it.
That's a great point there. And honestly, your headliner looks great. I do need to make the point that one of my customers just picked up an identical spec Model 3 Performance from Aurora, where you got yours, and he had just smuts everywhere. We can throw a photo up here, and that's, again, disappointing. You would expect a little bit better. So it's funny because he had that experience on one day, and then Branden goes in the next day and they're like, hey, you actually have a couple rock chips on here, you have a scratch on here, and they're like pointing things out. So I'm okay.
I think they had a little bit of bias. They wanted to make sure I saw it all.
Yeah, Mr. TikTok over here with millions of followers. But I mean, still, like, I hope Tesla gets to the point where everybody has a great experience because, you know, he texted me, he's purchased 8 or 9 Teslas at this point, and he's just like, well, that's what I expect. And honestly, we should expect a little bit better. So
it should be getting better, not worse.
Exactly. So that's a little bit of an annoyance for sure. Now, anything else here on the front end before we jump into the back? One thing I do want to make note of is this huge white piece. Now, Branden, I've been a little bit of a critic of this until I sat in here in the white interior, and it actually feels quite nice. It looks weird when you have the door open, I would say. It's just like this huge flash of white. But when you're sitting in the cockpit, it feels great.
It flows really, like they really have it flow through the entire front. Like there's the tiniest little white piece. It just goes all the way around.
It's hard to see up there because it's kind of turned down, but that's definitely of note. One more thing I want to point out here in the front. It's going to be nearly impossible. Can you actually turn off the ambient lighting here? Branden noticed this. There's these almost like little chips in the actual I don't know what they
It's
use.
almost like the plastic didn't adhere fully onto the light strip.
And it's way worse on the driver's side.
I mean,
so
you can actually see it better with the lights on. I think
I'm going to come over here.
So right here, I maybe turn the brightness down a little bit.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you can really see it there.
It doesn't turn brightness down. Whoops.
And go full off now. Yeah, holy smokes, you can really see it. So that's the first time I've seen this on a new Model 3. I've been in quite a bit of them as well, doing test drives, detailing them. It's a little bit strange, but front end is pretty awesome. I would say a little bit of negatives from my side, but I think it's something you can definitely get used to as you drive the vehicle. Now, hopping into the back here, not much has changed except for, of course, your seat here. So, Brandon, you no longer have any sort of storage in the back of the seat.
Yeah, I wasn't using it anyway.
Is that any concern to you?
I mean, I was kind of annoyed when the Model S and Model X didn't have that, but then I just really realized like I'd never even use it in the first place. But I guess if you're buying performance, you may or may not have kids. Probably more likely you don't have kids, so that's only
okay.
That's the only thing. Like,
yeah.
I guess
I don't know. It's one
kids
of those.
Put stuff in here. Like, what do people use those for?
I don't know. People like when I detail cars, people put like ketchup packets in there.
Yeah,
like
I'm just thinking like when I was a kid and I was my mom's like Sequoia, we would always put stuff in there.
Yeah.
But, like
you're shoving Cheerios and
or
stickers,
just like random stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So it may stay a little bit cleaner. But Brandon, all this back here, same soft touch leather.
Yep.
It's every single area. They went in and were like, no more plastic in Model 3. This is insane. Even this B pillar here, all the way down, that's all soft touch. I mean, those are the touches for me because, Brandon, I complain about this on every single high-end Porsche, Audi, BMW, everything. And yet here we have a $55,000 Model 3, let's call it, and there's no plastic inside. That is amazingly impressive. So, of course, rear screen, no change from rear wheel drive to all-wheel drive to performance here. We did notice that it got hot. We'll keep an eye on that. Are you noticing anything over there a little odd?
I mean, they're just...
Yeah, a little creak coming from that.
What was that noise I just heard?
Huh. Yeah, interesting noises. I don't know if you guys can actually hear that. Really strange noises going
weird.
on there. Not exactly sure.
The store will probably get used like 20 times in the time I own it, so
yeah,
we're good.
Nobody really sits in the back. Now, one of my other big criticisms with the new refresh is the back seat, and I can already see you look a little bit more cramped in there from the previous one. Something's changed back here. I don't know if it's the recline of the rear seat, if it's the incline of this seat, but I actually, when I sit in here, my head is touching the glass if I put my head all the way back. It's just a little odd, but that's my only complaint with the rear end here.
If it's like really hot, it could be maybe an issue.
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to torch your head on there, but...
Yeah. Yeah, this is like maybe 3 fingers at most, if I'm all the way back. Maybe 2, honestly.
I've got a little bit more butt padding, so when I sit back there, I'm definitely sitting higher, and my head is nearly in the roof up there. So that's just one of those things I wanted to mention. The weirdest thing to me, Brandon, and you said, I don't really care, it's not that big of a deal. These are the exact same seats out of the rear wheel drive and long range without any sort of piping. Let me show you what I mean by that. So the front sport seats up here have all black piping on them, very similar to Model S and Model X, correct, Brandon?
Yeah.
So all this black piping, and then you go back here and the seat is purely white. I would still like to see that come into the Model 3 Performance. It's just one of those things, like when you notice it, it just kind of drives me nuts, but that's a little bit of a nitpick. Honestly, one of the most impressive things, Brandon, with the new Model 3 is the noise. The noise. It has gotten so much better. Now, I originally complained about rear end noise in Model 3 being a little bit bassy and boomy. I haven't sat in the back of Brandon's Performance here. We will maybe in the next couple of weeks, but I noticed some weird resonance back here. It could have just been the case of that particular car on that particular day on that particular road. So keep an eye on that. But is there anything you've noticed from driving this? Any creaks, any rattles, any panels that feel a little bit strange? I know you were saying something about the headliner up there.
Yeah, it almost just looks like the headliner is kind of maybe like not clipped in.
Oh, you just clipped it in.
Did I?
I think you did.
Oh, okay.
So now it's
Service
fixed.
tech,
So
Tesla Flex.
there's some times where you have to just kind of push some things in.
Yeah.
But honestly, we just took this on a quick test drive. It is unbelievably quiet in here, even for a performance model. You know, we've got quite aggressive performance summer tires now, and honestly, noise performance felt no different from the rear wheel drive and long range. So I'm very impressed to see that. Any other thoughts on your end, Brandon?
Honestly, like this is probably top 2 best built Teslas I've owned.
What was the first one?
First one was my very first one. Surprisingly,
Really?
like my 2019 Standard Range Plus Model 3 was perfect.
Really?
Yeah.
That's, Yeah, it seems like Tesla goes in waves of like amazing cars. And then, you know, I've had some Austin built Model Ys that are just like, are you guys really shipping these to people?
Yeah.
And then Model X's, you've owned the whole gamut.
Model
now.
X's, dude.
Yeah, Model X's have been rough. But I'm so happy to see that Model 3 is like an actually nice car now. It's not the Econobox, the cheapest version Tesla. It still is, but it's like...
It genuinely feels like, I mean, at first you were paying a high price for a car that didn't feel like it was worth that much. Now you're paying a lower price for a car that feels like it's worth a lot more.
Do you remember what the performance ever got to? Was it...
I do, because I bought one at that price.
What was it?
I think after taxes, it was $68,000.
Holy smokes. So
Yeah.
now you're getting all of these interior improvements. You're getting a new rear motor. You're getting a faster Model 3 performance that's well built, a lot more quiet for sub 55 grand.
Yep.
Not including tax
Not
credit.
including
on
tax
top
credit
of that.
and the Colorado tax credit. Like,
Yeah.
it's honestly insane. And I thought I would see a lot of performances in Colorado now, but now that the long range qualifies, it's just going to be long range and performance.
Yeah, Tesla's going through some weird things, so definitely keep an eye on that. With it sounds like they're changing battery packs in the long range to the battery pack in the Model 3 Performance here, and who knows, maybe the rear wheel drive will also get federal tax credit. Now, of course, when you lease these vehicles, there is a tax loophole to where you can do that, but if you're purchasing them, it's a little bit... What are you noticing here? Uh-oh, he's smacking stuff now.
It just looks like it's not.
We're just talking about how nice this interior is, and then Brand starts hammering this interior up. So let me give you my final thoughts on the 2024 Tesla Model 3 Performance Highland. I'm kind of at a loss for words because Tesla has improved this car so much over the years. And now I can finally say you're getting a well-built Tesla. Yes, there are some imperfections. I do hope to see quite a few of those get ironed out. But honestly, 99% of the cars that go through our full build quality analysis here have way more issues, paying, you know, $100,000+ for vehicles, and they feel way cheaper in certain areas than the Model 3 Performance over here. Exterior fit and finish looks quite fantastic in my opinion. The paint, definitely noticing some weirdness in it. I don't want to do a full 20-30 minute review just on the paint. I think we'll keep this one short. I would maybe give it like a 7 out of 10. There's some, you know, scratches that Brandon had, some chips that came in. There's definitely still quite a bit of dust nibs, but I don't see anything that screams out to me, hey, this has been really kind of tortured from Tesla. So that's really good to see. Interior improvements, amazing. Again, there are some small little gripes I have being a Model 3 Performance owner of the Legacy version. Those are little nitpicks. And honestly, a lot of folks are going to say, your opinion's not valid there. I love the new steering wheel. I love not having stocks. The back seat feels fine to me. All good there. But I think the improvements that they've done on the interior, taking away all the plastic, like genuinely, Brandon, when I jump in this car, it feels way nicer than Kyle's Model S Plaid that's sitting right outside.
100%.
It's crazy different. I don't know why. Tesla's weird, right? It feels to me like the more money you spend with them, the worse the cars are in a way.
Yeah, and it's also like the cars have built off each other. So we wouldn't have this Model 3 if it wasn't for the Model S. So the next Model S better be pretty damn good. Exactly.
And yeah, I've been a little bit of a critic of the Highland, but I've spent more time with the car now. I still think, you know, on my way, I'm more a performance driving guy. I would rather have a stiffer suspension, which this is amazing because you can go from standard to firm and really just like dial the car in. The power is crazy in this for the amount of money you're paying for it. So big thumbs up from me. Well-built car. Brandon, I'm kind of assuming you're going to say pretty much the same thing.
Yep. I mean, I'm happy with this one. I'm really glad that I didn't cave and get black interior. The white interior truly looks good, and I can't wait to actually get this PPF on there so it looks way different.
Yep, so stay tuned on this channel because we're going to be doing a full transformation. Not myself, but Eric from Drive Protected is flying in actually tonight. Tomorrow morning, he's going to be putting full satin PPF on this. I think it's gonna look absolutely stunning. Make this car a little bit more unique because unfortunately, everybody's going to have stealth
every
gray.
single Model 3 Performance is about to look like this.
Yeah, every single one. I've seen a few black interiors, but the white, to me, you have to go white. And I'll always say, white interiors, way easier to clean than the black interior Teslas. So guys, thanks so much for watching another out-of-spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing in Northern Colorado. Leave your comments in the comment section below. What do you guys think of the new Model 3 Performance? I think it's an absolute hit, and Tesla did a fantastic job. We'll see you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.